At exactly 2:13 a.m., a truck driver made a call that would later be described by police as the moment everything began. His voice shaking, barely holding together. He said he saw something lying in the middle of the highway, but it wasn't roadkill, and it wasn't debris. It looked human, and it was moving. The highway was Route 17, a long, empty stretch of asphalt cutting through miles of dense forest, the kind of place where headlights feel swallowed by darkness and even the wind sounds wrong. When officers arrived 12 minutes later, the road was empty. No body, no person, no animal. Just a long, smeared trail of blood stretching across two lanes, as if something or someone had been dragged. What happened next changed everything, because this wasn't the first time something like this had been reported. 2 weeks earlier, a 3-year-old woman named Sarah Malik had gone missing just 3 kilometers from that exact spot. Her car was found parked on the shoulder, engine still warm, driver's door slightly open. Inside, her phone was on the seat. Screen cracked, a voice recording frozen at 0.7 seconds. And when investigators finally played it, all they heard was her breathing, fast, terrified, followed by a whisper that didn't sound like her. "Don't look back." That single recording would later become the most disturbing piece of evidence in the entire case. Sarah's family described her as careful, quiet, someone who never took risks, someone who always called when she arrived somewhere, but that night, she never did. Her mother kept calling her phone for hours, listening to it ring into silence, until eventually it went dead. By morning, the police had already started searching the nearby forest, but they found nothing. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just silence. The kind of silence that feels like it's hiding something. Then came the CCTV footage. A broken camera from an old gas station about 1 kilometer before Sarah's last known location captured something at 1:48 a.m. The footage was grainy, flickering, barely visible, but it showed Sarah's car pulling in, stopping for exactly 32 seconds, and then something strange happened. The passenger door opened, slowly, but no one got out, and no one got in. It just opened and then closed again. Sarah's car then drove away, alone. When officers reviewed the footage frame by frame, they noticed something else. For a split second, in the reflection of the car window, there was a shape, tall, thin, standing too close to the car. But when they enhanced the footage, the figure was gone, as if it had never been there. Days passed. Then came another call. A local resident who lived near the forest reported hearing footsteps outside his house every night at exactly 3 a.m. slow, dragging, like someone injured or something pretending to be. He said it would stop right outside his window, then just stand there, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. Police searched the area again, this time deeper into the woods, and that's when they found the abandoned house. It wasn't on any map. It looked like it had been there for decades, hidden behind overgrown trees, its windows shattered, door hanging half open. Inside, the air smelled like rot and something metallic. The walls were covered in marks, scratches, like someone had tried to claw their way out. But the most disturbing thing was the basement. The door was locked from the outside. When officers forced it open, they found a narrow staircase leading down into complete darkness, and at the bottom, more blood. Fresh, still wet. That's when they realized whatever happened on that highway wasn't over. Forensic teams began collecting samples, and almost immediately, things stopped making sense. The blood found on the highway matched Sarah Malik, but the blood in the basement belonged to at least 3 different people. None of them identified. None of them reported missing. It was like they didn't exist. Meanwhile, Sarah's family was falling apart. Her father stopped speaking, her younger brother refused to leave the house. Her mother kept playing that 7-second voice recording over and over again, convinced there was something hidden in it. And she was right, because when audio experts enhanced the file, they discovered something buried beneath the whisper. A second voice, faint, distorted, repeating the same words again and again. "He sees you, he sees you, he sees you." The investigation quickly turned into something far darker than a missing person case. Detectives started digging into old records, searching for anything similar, and what they found sent chills through the entire department. Over the past 15 years, there had been 6 disappearances along Route 17, all within a 5-kilometer radius, all happening after midnight, all involving people who were last seen alone, and every single one of them had something in common: abandoned vehicles found with no signs of struggle and no bodies ever recovered. It was as if the highway itself was taking people. But the most disturbing detail was this: 3 of those cases mentioned something strange before they disappeared. Witnesses who claimed they saw someone standing in the road, waiting for help, injured, covered in blood, and when drivers stopped to help, they were never seen again. Police began to suspect a pattern, a lure, something designed to make people stop. But the question was, who or what was doing it? Then, just as the investigation reached its peak, another piece of evidence surfaced: a second CCTV clip, this one from a traffic camera much closer to the highway. The timestamp read 2:11 a.m. the same night the truck driver made the call. The footage showed an empty road for several seconds. Then, suddenly, a figure appeared. Not walking into frame, not running, just there, standing in the middle of the highway, motionless. Its body looked wrong, bent at unnatural angles, and its head tilted too far to one side. Then, without warning, it stepped forward and the camera glitched. When the footage came back, the figure was gone, but something else was there. A smear, dark, wet, stretching across the road. The same pattern found later by police. That's when the case officially changed. This was no longer just a missing person investigation. It became something else, something no one wanted to say out loud. Officers began working in pairs. Night patrols were doubled, and an unofficial rule spread among the team: never stop on Route 17 after midnight. No matter what you see, but rules don't stop curiosity, and they definitely don't stop obsession. Because one detective on the case, Inspector Rahman, wasn't convinced this was anything supernatural. He believed there was a person behind all of this, a killer, smart, patient, using fear as a weapon, and he was determined to prove it. So he did something no one else was willing to do. He went back to the highway, alone, at 2 a.m., with nothing but his car, a camera, and a radio. He parked exactly where Sarah's car had been found, turned off the engine, and waited. For 20 minutes, nothing happened. Just the sound of wind moving through the trees. Then, at exactly 2:13 a.m., his radio crackled. A voice came through, not from dispatch, not from any known channel, just a whisper. "You shouldn't be here." Rahman froze. Checked the frequency. Nothing. Static. Then he looked up, and that's when he saw it. Something standing at the edge of the forest, watching him. Not moving, not blinking, just waiting. And then it started walking toward the road, slowly, dragging one leg behind it, leaving something on the ground as it moved. Something dark, something wet. Rahman reached for his camera, hands shaking, trying to focus. But the moment he pressed record, the figure stopped. Its head snapped upward, directly at him, as if it knew, as if it had been waiting for him specifically. And then it smiled. Not like a human, not natural. Too wide, too still. And in that moment, Rahman realized something that would later haunt every officer who read his final report. This wasn't a killer hiding in the dark. This was something that wanted to be seen. And what happened next was never fully explained. Rahman didn't run. That's what the official report says, but what it doesn't say is how long he stood there, frozen inside his car, staring at that thing on the road as it smiled at him like it had known him his entire life. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely keep the camera steady, but he didn't stop recording because every instinct in his body told him that if he looked away even for a second, it would be closer. The figure didn't rush, it didn't attack. It just kept walking, slow, dragging its leg, leaving behind a dark trail that glistened under Rahman's headlights. And then it spoke, not through the radio this time, not through static, but directly from its mouth. A voice that sounded broken, layered, like multiple people trying to speak at once. "You saw me, now I see you." Rahman's breath caught in his throat. His training told him to assess, to identify, to act, but there was nothing to assess. This wasn't behaving like a person. It didn't blink. It didn't react to the light. It didn't even seem affected by the cold night air. It just kept coming. And then something changed. The radio in his car exploded into noise, screaming, overlapping voices, fragments of words that didn't make sense. "Help me. Don't stop. It's behind you. Don't look." And in that chaos, Rahman made a mistake. He glanced at the rearview mirror for just a second. But that was enough, because when he looked back at the road, the figure was gone. Completely gone. The highway was empty again. Silent, as if nothing had ever been there. Rahman jumped out of the car, scanning the area, flashlight cutting through the darkness, his heart pounding so hard it felt like it was going to break his ribs. "Police!" he shouted into the void. No answer. Just wind, just trees. But then he saw it. Footprints. Fresh, wet, leading not away but toward his car. He turned slowly, and there it was, again. This time standing right behind his vehicle, closer than before, too close. Its head still tilted, its mouth still stretched into that unnatural smile, and in its hand, something moved, something small, something that made a sound Rahman would later describe as the worst thing he had ever heard. It was a phone, a broken phone, its screen flickering, and from its speaker, a voice played, a recording. "Don't look back," Sarah Malick's voice. Rahman felt the air leave his lungs. The thing took another step forward, raising the phone slightly, as if offering it to him, as if inviting him to take it. But Rahman didn't move. He couldn't. Because in that moment, he realized something else. The face of the figure, it wasn't fixed. It was shifting, subtle, almost unnoticeable, but it was changing. Features moving, eyes adjusting, skin stretching. And for a split second, it looked like Sarah. Then it changed again. Another face, another person, someone older, then younger, then something that didn't look human at all. Rahman staggered backward, reaching for his weapon, his mind trying to force logic into something that refused to follow any rules. "Stop!" he shouted, voice cracking. "Don't come any closer." The figure stopped, instantly, as if obeying a command, but the smile never faded. And then, in a voice that was now perfectly clear, calm, almost gentle, it said, "You already let me in." Rahman's vision blurred. His ears rang. For a moment, everything went silent. And then the world snapped back, and he was alone. Completely alone. The figure gone, the road empty, the phone no longer in its hand, because now it was on the ground, right in front of him. He stared at it for a long time before finally stepping forward and picking it up. The screen lit up instantly. No lock, no hesitation, just one file, one video, time-stamped, 2:13 a.m. He pressed play. The footage was shaky, dark, filmed from inside a car. His car. The camera angle was wrong, but it was unmistakable. It was him, sitting in the driver's seat, breathing heavily, looking at something outside. And then the camera turned slowly toward the window, and there, in the reflection, was the figure, standing right beside him, watching him from inches away. But in the real world, Rahman had been alone. He dropped the phone, stumbled back, his mind breaking under the weight of something it couldn't explain, and then the radio came alive again. This time, with his own voice. "You shouldn't be here." The same words, the same tone, the same warning he had heard earlier. Rahman ran. He got back into his car, slammed the door, started the engine, and drove faster than he ever had, away from Route 17. He didn't stop. Not until he reached the station. Not until he was surrounded by light and people and noise, but even then, he didn't feel safe because something had followed him. Not physically, not visibly, but something was there, watching, listening, waiting. The next morning, Rahman submitted his report. Official, structured, clean. But anyone who read it could see the cracks. The way his sentences didn't always make sense. The way he repeated certain phrases. The way he kept coming back to one line again and again. It knows when you see it. The department was divided. Some believed him, most didn't. They said it was stress, sleep deprivation, the pressure of the case. But then the evidence from his camera was reviewed, and everything changed, because the footage showed something no one expected. Rahman was not alone on that highway. The camera had captured it, clearly, standing in front of his car, walking toward him, smiling. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what happened at the end of the video. After Rahman got back into his car and drove away, the camera kept recording for another 47 seconds, showing the empty road, silent, still. And then the figure stepped back into frame, watching the car disappear into the distance. And then it turned, slowly, directly toward the camera. And for the first time, it spoke clearly enough to be understood. "He'll bring me more." The video ended there. The entire department went silent. This wasn't just one man's story anymore. This was evidence, something real, something recorded, and something that had just made a promise. From that moment on, everything escalated. Roadblocks were set up, night patrols increased, media was kept away, but it didn't matter, because the disappearances didn't stop. In fact, they increased. 2 more cases in the following week, both on Route 17, both after midnight, both involving drivers who stopped for something in the road, and both leaving behind the same thing: blood. No bodies, no witnesses, just blood. And one more detail that terrified investigators even more. In both cases, the victims' phones were found, and on each phone, there was a video file, time-stamped 2:13 a.m., showing them sitting in their cars, breathing heavily, looking at something outside. And then the camera would turn and the footage would cut, right before anything could be seen. It was like the thing knew exactly when to stop recording, like it didn't want to be fully captured. Or maybe it wanted to control what people saw. Rahman was pulled off the case, officially. But unofficially, he couldn't let it go. He started reviewing the footage again, frame by frame, second by second, looking for anything, any pattern, any clue. And then he found it. Something so small, no one else had noticed. In every video, every single one, there was a moment less than a second where the reflection in the glass didn't match reality. A shadow that shouldn't be there, a shape that moved differently. And when he slowed it down, enhanced it, isolated it, he saw the same thing, the same face, the same smile. And behind it, something worse. More shapes, more figures, standing in the dark, watching, waiting, not one, not alone, but many. And that's when Rahman realized the truth. This wasn't a single killer. This wasn't even human. This was something else, something that had been there for years, maybe decades, using the road, using the darkness, using people. And it wasn't just taking them, it was collecting them. And what happened next would prove just how far it had already spread. Rahman stopped sleeping after that night, not because he didn't want to, but because every time he closed his eyes, he heard the same thing. Footsteps dragging across asphalt, getting closer, stopping right behind him, and then a voice that sounded like it was learning how to speak through broken mouths, whispering, "You saw me, now I see you." And when he woke up, the room never felt empty. Not completely, not anymore, because something had changed inside him, something he couldn't explain but could feel every second, like being watched from a place that didn't exist until he looked for it. And that feeling followed him everywhere, into the station, into the streets, even into his own home, where shadows started behaving wrong, stretching longer than they should, shifting when nothing moved. And only once he saw something standing in the hallway mirror behind him that disappeared the moment he turned around. And that was the moment he understood the rule he had broken wasn't about the road, it was about attention, about recognition, about the simple, irreversible act of seeing, because whatever lived on Route 17 didn't just hunt bodies, it marked minds. And once it marked you, distance meant nothing. He returned to the station before sunrise and locked himself in the evidence room, replaying every clip again, every frame, every reflection, his eyes burning, his fingers numb, isolating the moments no one else had noticed, the flickers behind glass, the shapes behind shapes. And he began mapping them, not by location, not by time, but by pattern, by behavior, by the way the reflections failed to obey the world around them, and slowly a structure emerged, something that looked less like random appearances and more like a system, a network, a sequence of entries and exits, as if the highway wasn't the origin but a doorway, and the real space, the real presence existed layered over everything else, waiting for alignment, waiting for the right conditions, waiting for someone to look in the right way at the right time, and then he saw it. The constant that tied every case together, not just the time 2:13 a.m., but the angle, the direction of the cameras, the positioning of the victims, always slightly turned, always just enough to create a reflective surface that could capture something standing where nothing should be. And that's when the idea formed, terrifying
Control,
and
we have a situation.
precise.
Multiple down in
It
the
wasn't coming
corridor.
from the road, it was coming through the act of recording, through glass, through screens, through any surface that could hold an image. And the more it was seen, the stronger it became, the clearer it got, the closer it moved. Rahman didn't share this with the department because he knew how it would sound, but he didn't need their approval anymore. Not after what he had seen, not after what had already followed him home, so he built his own test, something controlled, something contained, a setup inside the station itself, in a windowless room lined with mirrors and cameras, angles overlapping, reflections feeding into reflections, a closed loop of observation designed to force the anomaly to reveal itself without the variables of the highway, without the unpredictability of the forest. And at 2 a.m., he turned it on, every camera recording, every screen active, and then he waited, alone in the adjacent room, watching the feeds, counting seconds, listening to the hum of electricity and the slow, creeping silence that always came before something broke. And at exactly 2:13 a.m., the first glitch appeared not in the room, but on the monitors, a distortion that rippled across every screen at once, as if something had brushed against the signal itself, and then one of the mirrors darkened, not shattered, not cracked, just deeper, like it no longer reflected light but absorbed it, and from that depth, a shape began to form, not stepping into the room but resolving into visibility, like a photograph developing in reverse, and Rahman felt his breath catch as the outline sharpened, the head tilting, the shoulders bending at impossible angles, the smile appearing last, wide and still and wrong. And then the audio spiked, a chorus of overlapping whispers flooding the speakers, fragments of voices he recognized from the recording Sarah, the truck driver. Others he had never heard, but somehow understood were real, layered into a single, pulsing noise that made the walls feel closer, and the figure moved, not forward, not backward, but across reflections, sliding from one mirror to another without crossing the space between, as if distance inside the loop didn't exist, and Rahman realized, too late, that he hadn't contained it, he had multiplied its paths. He reached for the main power switch, hands shaking, and killed the room, plunging everything into darkness. But the monitors in the observation room stayed on for a second longer, just long enough for him to see the figure no longer inside the mirrored room, but standing behind him in the reflection of the glass separating the two spaces. And when the screens went black, the room fell silent in a way that felt final, like a held breath that refused to release. And then the knocking started soft, slow, deliberate, coming from the other side of the door he had just sealed. 3 knocks, then a pause, then 3 more, a pattern that felt intentional, patient, confident, and a voice, clear now, almost gentle, spoke through the metal, "Open." Rahman didn't move. The knocking continued, steady, unchanging, until it stopped all at once, and in that sudden absence of sound, he heard something worse, a second set of footsteps inside the observation room behind him, not dragging this time, but careful, measured, learning, And he understood the mistake he had made wasn't just building the loop, it was watching it, feeding it, giving it more ways to be seen, more ways to anchor itself. And he did the only thing left to do, the only thing that might break the chain. He turned off every screen, smashed the remaining monitors, killed the power to the entire wing, and sat in the dark, refusing to look at anything that could reflect him, refusing to give it a surface, refusing to confirm its presence. And for a long time, nothing happened. No sound, no movement, just the weight of waiting, until slowly, gradually, the feeling of being watched began to fade, not disappear, but recede, like a tide pulling back just enough to make you think it's over. By morning, the room was empty, the mirrors intact, the camera, and none could explain the footage from every device, including the ones that had been physically destroyed before shutdown, had been recorded, compiled, and saved into a single file, time-stamped 2:13 a.m., stored on Rahman's personal drive. They told him not to open it. He didn't listen. The video began with the mirrored room, silent, unchanged, the moment before the glitch, and then the distortion rolled through, the mirrors deepening, the figure forming, moving across reflections with that same impossible motion. But this time the perspective shifted, cutting between angles that no single camera could have captured, as if something else had been filming from within the loop itself. And then it showed the observation room, Rahman standing at the glass, watching, unaware of what stood behind him, the figure already there, already close, already smiling, and the audio, clearer than anything before, carried a single line repeated in different voices, layered but understandable. He opens the door, over and over, building into a rhythm that matched the knocking he had heard. And then the footage did something it had never done before. It continued past the moment he shut everything down, showing him in darkness, sitting, breathing, refusing to look, while behind him, shapes moved without sound, gathering at the edges of unseen surfaces, waiting for the smallest mistake, the slightest glance, the briefest reflection to pull them through. And then, at the very end, the camera faced a blank wall, and in that blankness, a message appeared. Not written, not carved, but revealed by the absence of light itself. Letters forming out of shadow. More. Rahman closed the file and understood the final piece. The part no report could carry, the part no protocol could contain. The thing on Route 17 wasn't bound to the road. It was bound to attention, to images, to the act of witnessing. And the highway had only been the beginning because it was quiet, isolated, perfect for first contact. But now it had moved, expanded, learned, and every screen, every camera, every reflective surface had become a potential doorway, a potential invitation, a potential mistake. And the disappearances weren't just increasing, they were spreading, appearing in places far from the forest, far from the highway, tied not by geography but by footage, by files shared and copied and replayed, by people who watched without knowing what they were allowing in. And when the department finally decided to shut the case down, to seal the evidence, to erase what they could, it was already too late, because the recordings had been duplicated, archived, leaked in ways no one could fully trace, fragments circulating in corners of the internet, mislabeled, misunderstood. And every time someone pressed play at the wrong moment, at the wrong angle, with the wrong reflection catching the edge of the frame, something shifted, something aligned, something stepped closer. Rahman wrote one last note before he disappeared. Not filed, not signed, just left on his desk where someone would eventually find it, a warning stripped of everything except the truth he had learned too late. And it ended with a line no one in the department has ever been able to forget, because once you read it, you feel the weight of it settling somewhere behind your eyes, waiting for you to test it, daring you to look, daring you to prove it wrong. If you ever see blood on an empty road, don't stop. And whatever you do, don't look at the reflection.